Today we're going to work on multiplying 2-digit by 2-digit numbers. If I want to multiply the number 12 by 36, I'm going to start by multiplying the numbers in my ones place. The 6 is in the ones place in 36, and the 2 is in the ones place in 12, so I'm going to multiply 6 times 2, and that's 12. I write down my 2, and I regroup my 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. My next move here is I'm going to move over to multiply out the numbers by what's in my tens place. I have a 3 in my tens place, but before I'm allowed to multiply out that 3, I need to write a placeholder 0 in the ones place. Now that I do that, I can multiply 3 times 2, and what I'm actually doing is, because this 3 is in the tens place, 3 tens is 30, so what I'm really doing is 30 times 2, which is 60. And look what I just wrote down. So that's why we have to write that 0 placeholder there, to represent that what we're actually doing is 30 times 2, or 60. Now that I've done 3 times 2, I can multiply 3 times 1, which is 3. I'll add this up, and 432 is my final answer. Let's take a look at another one. Once again, I'm going to start with the numbers that are in my ones place. I have a 9 and a 5. 9 times 5 is 45. Write down the 5, regroup the 4. 9 times 5 is 45, plus 4 is 49. I'm going to write down my 9, and because there's no place to carry my 4 over here, there's nothing up here in the hundreds place, I'm going to write down the whole thing. So 9 times 5 was 45, plus 4 was 49. Whenever I have to carry things up to the top, I like to erase them or scratch them out before I move on to the next thing, before I move on to my tens place, so I don't get confused. So, now that I'm moving over to my tens place, I'm going to write a 0 in my ones place, and I can do 7 times 5 is 35, write down my 5, regroup the 3. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 3 is 38. Again, I'm going to write that whole number down here, because there's nothing in the hundreds place for me to regroup. So now I can just simply add 5, 14, write down the 4, regroup my 1, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 4,345. Let's do one more. I'm always going to start by multiplying what's in my ones place. 8 times 3 is 24. Write down the 4, regroup the 2. 8 times 6 is 48, plus 2 is 50. Clean up what's on top so that I don't get confused. And I'm going to move over to my tens place. The 2 is in the tens place, but before I'm allowed to multiply it, I need to write down a 0 in my ones place. 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 6 is 12. One final note is that you really need to stay organized when you're writing your numbers down in this area, down here. Notice how my 4 is stacked right on top of my 0 is stacked on top of my 6, my 5 is stacked on top of my 2. That organization is going to make it really easy for me to add these up without making any silly mistakes. 1,764.